Okay, I know it's been a while since I have put something on this channel, since I've published a video, put a video out, however you say it these days. But I would say that the reason why that is because I was looking to navigate my court situation, family court situation to be specific, both the custody and the child support. And I was looking to navigate that and gather more intel, more information before I believed I was comfortable enough to start sharing that with you. I like to lead through confidence, and I like to show facts, data, the statistics, the truth, and then blend that all in with some of my, anecdotal experiences, a little bit of entertainment value. I'm a comedy guy, so I love, to laugh and make people laugh. Unfortunately, the family court system is a joke, and there's nothing funny about that. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been a roller coaster, and a lot of that roller coaster has had my mind just in all different directions. While I'm also personally developing myself, I'm growing a business, I'm running a business, and when you have all those things compiling on you at the same time, it can be a lot for most people, more specifically for men. However, I just came back from the child support trial, and there was just something in me that said, you got to start this. You can't keep starting something, picking up something that you don't carry to the finish line. Despite the pain, despite the drama, despite the vulnerability that you might be subject of, or what may be used against you because you're on a public platform. And all that is true. And it has bogged my mind. It's been in the back of my mind. While at the same time, I know that if I don't do it, then who can I expect to do it? There are some people that I follow on the internet, YouTube, more specifically than anything, that have been an intricate part in my family court journey, from learning their methods, learning their strategies, to even being motivated and inspired to fight for myself and for my daughter. It's crazy how I also learned during this time that most men don't do it. And I'm honored to be a part of the men who have done it and have grown from it, regardless of their successes or failures. Because something that I learned during this process is it is a war, and you're gonna have to go battle after battle after battle. It was designed to be that way. It is a system design. I'm a system architect, so I know about design, and it was designed to be that way. And you're gonna have to to withstand the time going through that battle. Now, some of you may be watching this that haven't been through it yet, and you don't want to go through it. That's also the reason why I made this channel, and I named it Preggo, premeditated pregnancy. And I think it's funny how people will question that when I hop on panels and they'll ask, well, what does Preggo stand for? And I tell them, well, at first they think it's a joke. They kind of think it's just some, word or terminology, and they don't understand the actual indication, the facts behind it, the logic, the rationale that goes literally behind the term premeditated pregnancy. And I just shortened it up Preggo because, we got Gen Zs coming up. We got Gen Alpha coming up. Millennials are already here. Boomers, what else is there? Gen X, I can't really help them. But when it comes to the young cats, since I'm 38 years old, I can give a little bit more insight that you may follow, you may not follow. And that's on you. I know we hard-headed. I know I was hard-headed. And I'm not saying that's always a bad thing, but for the most part, yeah, you don't always want to be hard-headed. You want to learn something. But I can tell you right now that Preggo was a very well thought out terminology. Premeditated pregnancy is a real thing. It's also known as reproductive coercion. And it's a topic of conversation that seems to be taboo in most circles. However, it is real. And it's the reason why it's one of the reasons why these court systems are making so much money because they've given women the power to do what they want almost at the detriment of no consequences, because they know that they profit off of pain. And that's how I always think when I go into the juvenile court, I almost sympathize. I feel bad for everybody working there, because for me, they're all a part of the problem. To them, it's just a job. To me, you're a problem. You're a part of a problem. And it's sad. It's very sad. Now, if you're there to study and learn to make things better, not the BS of, you know, we're doing it for the best interest of the child, those terminologies, that's all BS. And I'll get into future videos. I'm going to show some videos why it's just terminology. They will throw so many terms that have no real logical, definitive, and good faith meaning behind them. They will throw all these terms at you, right? They still use Latin. Now tell me why they still use Latin. It's because they don't want you to know. They use all this jargon and these procedures because they want to make it difficult. They always want to have a way out, always. They want to be able to use things that are for them. They want to use that to the best of their abilities. But if it goes for you, they want to have a way out to be able to refute that, to be able to fight that. It's the reason why, you know, they say that magistrates and the judges and the referees and, you know, it's at their discretion, right? They have this broad, they can use this broad discretion of things, but at the same time, they can also get very, very specific. And they will. It says it right here, the order or the rule, but at the same time, it's based on their interpretation of the law and the rule. It's intentionally done to make no sense to the average person. And the thing that I've learned more than anything, being the age of 38, being a business owner for over 10 years, being an entrepreneur for 20 years, if it doesn't make sense, it typically makes dollars. I'll repeat that. If it doesn't make sense, it typically makes dollars. And it's almost pathetic. It's almost pathetic. Some of you might be saying it is pathetic. Some of you might be disagreeing with me. That's okay. You have your right to feel how you want to feel. But I can tell you right now, if you are a person who is using the court system to make up, I'm just gonna be simple for some people here, because I know I like to be simple sometimes. If you're using the court system to make up for your lack thereof, for your laziness, you are part of the problem. People don't want to earn, they want to acquire. And I understand acquisition. That's necessary. It's needed in life, right? Acquisition is needed, especially when it comes to businesses, or we'll say like passing on wealth from one generation to another, right? That generation, your child didn't necessarily earn their right to inherit what you give. They were born. That's not earning. So that's acquisition. But then it gets to a point where it's being abused. Acquisition is being abused, where people are being lazy and they're adults that don't want to earn anything, but they want to take from another adult that is not their parent or uncle or grandparent, right? Or a family member. It's not somebody who reared them, who guided them through life. Nope, who had them. They just want to acquire from somebody else who's willing to do the work. I've noticed that has become people's work. Their work is taking from somebody else's work directly. That's why I made a previous video about weapons. How children are being used as extortion tools, as weapons in the courts. And these people are majority mothers. They are the majority of this. It's not all mothers, but the mothers that are doing this, because there is a very small minute of fathers doing this, right? Let's just keep it all the way funky with it. Let's just keep it all the way funky with it. Very small amount of fathers doing this. It's mainly mothers. Let's keep it all the way real. It's mainly mothers who are abusing the courts, using the courts, and the courts are allowing it because the state gets what? Reimbursement for every dollar they collect. How can anybody say that that wouldn't incentivize a person, a human being who's in charge of another life, that wouldn't incentivize them to make what we consider the best interest of the state, not the child? Because the data is out there, the information is out there, how much children are needed to have fathers in their lives. They need to have fathers in their lives in order to have the best outcome. That is a fact. Yet the courts keep finding reasons and excuses, and if it ain't this thing, it's that thing. They will move the goalposts so fast, and that's what they've done to me. And I'm sure I'm upsetting them because I keep fighting, and they don't like that, especially my county. Well, I don't live in the county, but where my daughter resides, I think she resides there. I don't know, because once again, they blocked me from knowing the current address. I called them out and said, I don't have the current address of where my daughter lives. I have the mother's parents' address, but that's not where my daughter lives. And the magistrate had the nerve to say, well, it's her mailing address, but yet on the order it says residential. And when I called her out on it, she came up with another excuse. They won't move the goalposts. I have no idea where my daughter lives. And they allow it to happen. But what I have to do is pay child extortion bills. They'll make sure that I'll have that my address and my everything that they can to make sure that I follow the orders and follow what's given to me. They'll make sure they will go hand over fist. They will do everything. They will throw you in jail for you to pay some money. They will garnish your wages, take away your passport, do all that to make sure you pay that money. But what they won't do is make sure you're able to see your child. Not only that, they will fight you while you fight to see your child. Even when you've done nothing illegal. You've done nothing illegal, anything. You've done no harm to the child. They will make things up. They will create conflict. And that's another thing I've learned too when it comes to hiring lawyers, because I did both. I represented myself and I hired lawyers. So I have a experience that most men don't have and will never have. That's why I am, verified or I have the credibility to speak to you the way I am right now, because I'm not most men, not by a long shot. Most men aren't entrepreneurs. Most men aren't business owners. Most men don't go to trial. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I represented myself. Most men won't do that. Most men won't hire a lawyer. I represented myself and I hired lawyers. Most men won't go to trial. I did that too. I've been to every single hearing, including today, every custody hearing, every child support hearing. And boy, were there a lot. And what they will do when you hire lawyers, it's not just the lawyers, but everybody wants to create this conflict. Why? Because the tides raise all ships. Everybody gets paid. And that's how they make their money. If there's no conflict, they can't intervene. If they can't intervene, they can't profit. I mean, to me, that's simple math. Maybe I'm just a simple person. I ain't that good at math. Numbers wasn't my forte. Now, I will run up that bag if necessary. But when it comes to math, that ain't my forte. But they will do everything that they can do to get paid. I think it's so funny how, obviously you can tell me and my child's mother aren't together. We weren't together when my child was born. And when we were together during the tail end of our breakup, and it was probably a long time coming, but I wasn't doing so well financially. I had the same business, right? Same business. I was doing the same services for the most part, but I just wasn't doing so well financially. And that happens in entrepreneurship. You're going to have some downtimes. And it's so funny that I'm very sure my downtime is what, influenced the mother to go AWOL, right? To rebel, to feel like she's not going to get the security and protection and X, Y, and Z. Again, I can't say this for sure. I'm not going to speak for that person, but I can tell you right now, I can infer this. And it's so funny that all that happened, and over this time period, I have grown. I've gotten better. I was already on the trajectory to do so. Again, I just went through some hard times. But in court, she had the nerve to speak on what I could earn. She had the nerve to speak on what I can do, how much money I can make. I think it's hilarious. So you didn't want to wait for me to get through a downtime, some hardships, but now you're sure I should be making this amount of money and I can make this amount of money and I can do this because I'm a very smart person. I'm very well skilled, but yet you didn't apply that when we were together. Now you want to apply that when it comes to raising up that money. I can't make this up, y'all. And some of you already know this. This ain't nothing new. Y'all know this. We know this, right? But it's still interesting. I think that you still have to learn how this works. And I've learned to not be resentful. I'm learning. Let me back up. I'm learning not to be resentful, not to be hateful. I can't unknow what I know. I can't unsee what I see or what I saw. I can't unhear what I heard. And I won't. But for my daughter's sake, I'm going to use this to better myself, to continue to be a better person. I was going to do it without my daughter, but with her, it just gives my why more definition. And that's the reason why I went through everything, because I already had a why. I had my why. Some of you all need to have a why. Why are you going to go through it? Why aren't you going through it? Why don't you want to have children? Why do you want to have children? Why, if you do have a kid or you have children, aren't you fighting for them? Why are you fighting for them? You got to have a why. That's going to get you through it, the tough times. Because like I said before, they're going to move that goalpost. You're never good enough for them. It don't matter what you do, what changes you made, how much you've grown, anything that they can use. It's just like when they read you your Miranda rights, right? When you're being arrested by a cop or something, or being detained. Seriously, anything that you say can and will be used against you. So you have to be very careful with your words. Very careful. They will even use things that you think are good things. They'll flip that. I can't tell you how many times they try to flip that during the custody battle. I mean, positive things that if it were in any other circumstance, they would be looking at you like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, give you a hand clap or whatever the case is. But in custody battle, they'll flip that. An example would be when the lawyer, the mother's lawyer, she had two lawyers, one for custody, one for child support. But the custody lawyer tried to use a video of me calling my daughter when she was a baby, when I called her a lemon head, and I was, being joking, obviously, because she had a little lemon head or whatever. My baby boo had a lemon head. And I'm singing this little song to her, lemon head, my baby. And saying she's giggling and laughing. And they try to use that. Is that how you talk to your daughter? Like, what? And I really want to call a lawyer. I said, so you saying your parents ain't never called you a nickname but that's what they do. They have to paint you in a bad light. Even normal things. Y'all, I can't tell you how much I'm excited for this journey, especially on this channel. And I'm upset with myself that I have not been posting more. Sometimes I'm a little nervous. Sometimes I'm like, who's going to listen to this? And I understand, like in the beginning, nobody hears it. The algorithm ain't helping you out, but people will go backwards. Some people will go back once you've established yourself enough and you've already hit different subjects and topics, right? And they'll go back and look at your old content. And this may be my archived, or what do they call it? I'll think of another word later, but this may be that content that very few people listen to, and that's okay. I got to get it out the system. It's therapeutic in a way. It ain't therapy, but it's therapeutic, I got to get out the way. And just know that the more that I keep being comfortable with speaking and the more that I'm able to tell you all my story, but also share with you all the tips, the tricks, the strategies, the methods that you can use, the tools, because I got those. Trust me, I'm going to incorporate a lot of my business acumen and my business skill sets. I'm going to incorporate that into this channel. That's why I made this channel, because I didn't want to put this type of content on my business type stuff, right? Because it's just, it's not a good, it ain't a good look for the algorithm. Sometimes it's not a good look for your perspective, like the optics per se, as they say. It ain't a good look on that end. But on this channel, I'm going to do my thing when it comes to this topic of conversation. When it comes to people using children as weapons, using children as access, using children to run up that bag, using children to basically have another check coming in. They use children as income. Children are an income source. They'll justify it every single way they can. They will call it this and call it that, blah, 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 blah. But when you really get down to the brass tacks, and this is the funny part, I thought that my custody battle, when it came to cross-examination, I thought I could use that as a form of a lie detector. I really did. Before I went into it, I was like, yes, I'm going to be able to examine her and ask questions, and I should be able to get real answers. When the courts are a part of the cooperation and they're cooperating with each other and they're a part of the corruption, even that moment where they're supposed to be telling the truth and you have them on the stand per se and you're examining them, they'll allow them to lie or omit information. And if that is the case, well, then it's not a lie detector test. You know what I'm saying? You're just wasting your breath at that point. Like a real lie detector test, oftentimes the good ones, it can detect lies. But if you're using a person, the magistrate, the judge, the referee, as the lie detector test, and they are corrupt, it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work out in your favor. You're gonna have to come up with a new angle, do something new, and you can. You can. But it's things that I was never taught. I was never taught this growing up. Not by my parents, not by uncles or aunties. Nah, not even by cousins. I was never taught this stuff. I only learned it when I got in it. But I would say I learned it from other men who had been through it. Very few women. Typically, if it's a woman, it would be a woman who was in a lawyer attorney position that I would, be watching and learning from. But that's different than learning from someone going through the injustice, going through rights being violated as a father. Because it's very rare for the mother to have their rights violated. That's very rare. You have to be, a piece of crap. To lose your kids as a mother, you got to be, you have to have done something so egregious, seriously. Because they will let a lot of stuff pass for mothers. They will. As a father, you don't have to do anything wrong. And they'll make up stuff. They will make stuff up. I'm for real, y'all. They will make stuff up. And don't let you have actually done something that they can find. Well, then they're going to put that to the forefront and use that. They're going to use it. I'm telling you. And if you don't have it, they'll make it up. They'll create conflict. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you see. You got to be careful who you digging down. You got to be careful. Because even if you believe this person doesn't want to have your baby, even if they say they don't want to have your baby, even if they say that they're on some type of birth control, you can't believe that. Not these days. Because all it takes is a drop of desperation on their end. Just a drop of desperation. And the doors open. They do their homework. They do their research when it comes to how they have the leverage. And next thing you know, you're in a battle. Now, you may not show up to court. That's up to you. And they hope you don't. They rather just default you. They don't want you fighting. They want to be able to just run you through the mill, through the factory. You are a number to them. Your child is a number. They may say your child, the name out loud. They'll ask you what the birth date is and ask you what your child's name is. They don't care. That's all formality. And what I learned is that it's all about proof and procedure. Procedure and proof. What can you prove on the record? And what are the procedures, right? The procedures that will create the formalities. And the craziest part is they'll use procedures to hide proof. They'll use procedures to keep proof off the record. It's proof and procedures. I'm oversimplifying it on purpose because it really comes down to those two things. From my perspective, as a father who has fought pro se and hired lawyers, I spent tens of thousands of dollars on lawyers. I still don't have any custody to my baby. None. And today was the child support case. They used the custody case to alley-oop the child support, keeping me all the way away from my child based on no proof of any incidents, only accusations. That's it. All they had was accusations, no incidents, no anything. I don't even have anything on my record. And they used that to keep me away from my child based on formalities and procedures, just long enough for the child support case trying to come to where I don't have any overnights, right? And child support often is overnights and income. It depends on what state you're in, what jurisdiction you're in, but that's typically what it is: overnights and income and overnights. And if they keep you from overnights, they're gonna use that income. It's all based off of the income of the parties. I'm drinking coffee right now because I got no sleep. That's for a whole nother reason. But I still had to wake up early, 6:30, to go get some paper, to print out some paper. This was crazy. This is why I stopped taking certain stuff so seriously, because I over prepare and it's a waste of time. I woke up at 6:30 to go to Walmart to get some paper and some ink so I could print out my stuff, and pretty much it was useless. It was meaningless. It was meaningless. Now, I'm not saying you do that. Don't do that. I just knew that in my situation, it was meaningless. If you are going through this for the first time, I would say you need to be prepared. You need to learn the law. There are really good YouTube channels out there that can help you do that. This will be one of those, but I just want to go off on my tangent, a little rant, just talk real to y'all. And in future, we'll say future videos, I'm really going to show y'all some real cool strategies, some tools, like I said before. I want to show y'all how to use AI. That's what's going to kill the game. I use AI to file most of my stuff. I really did. And it helped me file stuff. Now, just because you file it doesn't mean you're going to win, but you have to file. You gotta file to even start to get heard. But it doesn't mean they're gonna listen. That's a better way to put it. But you gotta file though. If you use AI, and you don't have money to afford a lawyer, but you can use ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Gemini. But make sure you use other research AI too. Use that AI to help you formulate your game plan, but don't use that as your main AI when it comes to validating or citing certain other cases, right? You got to be careful with that. You got to be real, like case law, you got to be real careful with that, because unfortunately the AI can hallucinate, and unfortunately sometimes it's training or it's looking on sources that are fake case laws. They're fake citations. So you gotta be real careful with that. I'm gonna teach you on this channel how to help with that as well too. I really am. So look forward to it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Like the video now. You gotta like the video, you gotta subscribe. But I'm excited. Preme Preggo. We gonna get it. For all you gentlemen out there that either wanna avoid the pain or you wanna navigate through the pain, this channel is for you. I want to help you with that. Now, if you already been through it and you got the t-shirt, hey, comment, add your 2 cents on it. I know I'm going to have some people that don't agree with things. That's okay. When you've gone through the court system, I'm telling you, there's not much. Now, the great part is before I went through the court system, I've already traveled the world. I've already been criticized. I've already have been in the limelight for my, the little limelight, not the big limelight, but the little limelight, meaning like I am a expert in my field, right? I'm a knowledgeable expert in my field. I have helped thousands of people when it comes to building their businesses or building out systems. And so I'm used to criticism, right? I failed many, many times in my journey of entrepreneurship and being a business owner. And so that prepared me for going through the court system. But at the same time, I wasn't prepared in terms of everything that was gonna come. I had to prepare myself. And even still, when it happened, it's a shocker to you. It hurts because it's emotional. This is your children or your child that you're dealing with. You're not just dealing with about business, right? And so these are things that I hope to give you all that juice. It ain't a golden ticket now. It ain't a silver bullet. It's something else that you may want to learn about. The silver bullet, AKA when they accuse you of doing something, whether true or false, and it forces the court to intervene, to take precautions. That's why when a person accuses somebody of some kind of essay or abuse or a problem, an addiction or something like that, anything in that nature, that is what they call a silver bullet. And it allows the court to intervene and start to help create the conflict. Again, whether it's true or false. And we're finding out in today's society, a lot of times, I don't know often. I really want to say often these days. I really want to say often. I am going to say often times those accusations are unfounded. They're untrue. They're untrue and unfounded. But they call it the silver bullet because that's usually what they'll use to keep a father away from his child. They silver bullet. I had to learn that too, and that's what happened with me. I got hit with the silver bullet tactic. Man, you learn a lot through this process. And what do they say about pressure? Either it's going to crush or it's going to create. You're going to become a diamond or you're going to fold. You're going to be on your own island. And it feels like an island when you're going through this process. As a man, especially when your family is not supporting you, when friends aren't supporting you, it feels like an island. You by yourself. That's another reason why this channel was important for men. Because you may be going through it by yourself, but you don't have to do it by yourself in terms of not having others that been through it that can give you some knowledge, some education, throw some jokes in there. Some of y'all need it. Some of y'all need a little laughter every now and then because, you know what I'm saying? Y'all just be like, it's depressing. You know what I'm saying? It's depressing, you know what I mean? And you need somebody. And I know I can be that person. I know the guys that I watch, they weren't necessarily, they were funny, but not funny. You know, they were a little stiff, but it's because it's a joke and it's not funny. Like you're the joke in the situation, but the reality is that the whole system is the joke. You know what I'm saying? You're just the punchline type of thing. They're punching bags, so to speak. Let me even be more specific. You're the punching bag and the punchline of the joke. I can't stress that enough. So I'm hoping somebody learns from this, and I appreciate y'all for paying attention to me, for subscribing to the channel, for just sticking around. Stay around. We gonna go these rounds. Remember, we in a battle. And every round, you should be getting tougher. You should be getting smarter. You need to decide whether or not you need to hire a lawyer to represent you, or maybe you need to hire a lawyer just to give you some insight, because it helps when you can get direct insight in your jurisdiction, right? There's the general knowledge that kind of applies across the board, but then there's specific things you need to know on how certain state actors work, and that's what they're called. They're called state actors. Did you know that? Isn't that kind of funny? The lawyers, the judges, the magistrates, the court reporters, the guardian ad litems, the social security workers, they're called state actors. Who else is called actors in our society? People who are in Hollywood. Isn't that funny? Actors. Act like they actually care about the child. Come on now. Come on now. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know. But we here now. And I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep spitting. I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all again. I want you to grow up, grow stronger, get better. Remember that getting older is not getting better. Remember that. Getting older doesn't mean you getting better, right? You got to think about that. But we out of here. Lego the Prego. Peace.